Greetings guys, I'm Mr. Koshi, your host, and today we're gonna talk a little bit about the preparations for making a rankable map. Actually, I recorded already this video and I decided that it's a little bit long, maybe I talk about a little bit too much about some stuff, so I decided to make it again. And why I'm making it again before I'm making a video about rhythmical accuracy and aesthetics is that you need to know what options I have enabled before I go into the editor, right? And try to explain other stuff. And the video would be about it if only about it if I didn't try to mention rankability stuff, but I will just now. So if you don't care about this, just go into the description, click the timestamp, and it will take you to the point of the video, what matters to you, right? Just fucking click it if you don't care about rankability. So you want to make a rankable map, you need to have a good audio. So if you download from YouTube or from some other sources, then your audio will be of some poor or too good quality. So the range, rankable range of a quality is from 128 to 192. So if you before you start making actually a map, make sure that your bitmap's bitrate is in that range, because then if it's not, then you have to edit the audio and move the offset again, and that's a little bit of unnecessary work. I mean, you could do something like I do sometimes. I just take the audio from my album, which is 320 bitrate, and just leave it at that, and when you find the BN, then just change it to appropriate size, right? Because the better I mean, yes, the better quality, the better it sounds, right? But it's not rankable, so keep it below 192 if you wish to go for rank. Okay, and now background size. A lot of people do that mistake that they upload a background that's too large. The actual limit for background is 1920 pixels per, well, not per, but x 1080 pixels. So no, wait, no, that's the full HD, and I recommend you to rescale your background to that, but the actual limit is 1920 x 1200 for a little bit more square monitors, I guess, because the second number is height. Yes. So yeah, want to have a rankable map, make it from the start. And I'm talking about a background right from the beginning because I really like to put the background right at the start. Like when I start mapping, I open the editor, I put the audio, I set the timing, set the offset BPM and stuff, and then I put the background and set combo colors, because it sets already at this very start the theme of the map, the characteristic of it, and I can design patterns very much more effectively, to be honest, because the background changes a lot for me. It might not change a lot for you, but well, now you know how to make it rankable. Okay, so now going to the actual editor. Let's go here, editor, and we're gonna be using One Man's Burden, my pre-made map. Like, it has only a few objects, it's for training purposes. Okay, do I have everything nice? All right, so let's make my webcam a little bit smaller, like fit it in the right bottom corner of my screen, and it's all fine. So I'm gonna tell you now what options do I have enabled and what options I have disabled. So when I always start mapping, I always disable grid snap. This is something people not always have disabled, and it causes problems. Like they try to make streams and they have grid snap enabled with distance snap, and it just snaps to those weird positions, right? You can change it, change how it snaps with your grid level right here, and set it to most precise, but it's still gonna snap, right? And you don't want to snap when you make a stream. You want to have a fluid motion and make a nice curved slider. If you're going for curved sliders, of course. So that's that. Keep the grid snap disabled. That's my recommendation. Now, distance snap. That's something that people have mixed opinions about. Some people like it disabled, some people like it enabled. I personally, I love it enabled, because the objects doesn't just go wild on the screen, and they snap to objects in some range, right? We have the numbers, the distance between each objects, and it can be changed by holding Alt and moving your scroll to down and up to decrease or increase the distance spacing, right? So we have 1, we have 1.7, 2.4, it increases, right? It's all logical and stuff, and it just goes into that very radius from that previous object. We're gonna keep it at 0.7 because that's the spacing of this stream. And some people like it disabled, like LMT, but I don't quite recommend doing that. Like he recently made a GD for me, and he had some alternating streams. Like alternating streams are different from normal streams because they are at 1 on 2 bit snap device, alright? So they are not 1 on 4, they are on 1, 2. That's alternating stream. And he did that. He basically did something like that, right? Okay. It's not a... it's a nice alternating stream, but it would be a nice alternating stream if it was really like that. Instead, he had distance snap disabled, and he wanted to hand place every object, so he did. He moved it like, wait, yeah, he moved it like this. Then the third object was a little bit further apart, and the next object was a little bit closer again, and the next was again. And what you can see now is that little line between 2 and 3. That's actually a follow point. You really want to have it enabled because it shows you imperfections like that, right? So have follow points enabled. That's the next point. And fuck, I already get messages. Yeah, so he could easily avoid that by just enabling distance snap and snapping to the previous objects. I mean, not quite snapping, but having an equal distance, right? And it's part of consistency, and I'm gonna talk about this probably in consistency and structure video. So yes, distance snap enabled. Note lock, we have a note lock to here, but I mean, you want to showcase, you actually didn't see it. This is a node lock. You enable it when you want to just, you know, select circles, select sliders without actually moving them, because it happens, right? So coming back again to view options, there are a few options you can enable. So that's show video. That's used if you have a video and you want to have it in the background. If you're mapping still or doing anything else without watching the video, I mean, unless you're watching the video, you want to have it disabled. The grid level, I already told you what it is. Volume is just this, basically what you have while holding Alt and moving your scroll out of the playfield. It increases and decreases your volume. If you go into the specific circle, you can decrease it and increase it as well. And if you go to the actual grid, then it increases and decreases distance and spacing, right? Very useful stuff. So yeah. Dim background is something added in the very latest version of OSU, at least at the point where when I'm recording it. It actually uses your dim background settings from actual OSU when you play and applies it to the editor when you're testing. So very, very nice if you want to have a dimmed background. It won't bother you again, right? Very, very useful actually, I'd say. My recommendation is to enable that. Show sample name, I actually have no idea what is it. Maybe somebody of you know, maybe you can tell me if I enable it. It just shows me nothing. I didn't have any motivation to find out what it actually does. So whatever. Snaking sliders is something you really want to have disabled, because when you map, you don't have a good reference to the past objects, because I mean past and future objects, because a slider is consistently expanding, right? And you won't actually know where it ends before it actually is in the point where it ends, right? I mean, it might sound confusing, but you can try it yourself. Basically, your slider won't be fully shown, and it will be expanding slowly and slowly to its original size, and you won't be able to see it fully. So definitely disable. Hit animations disable, because the objects will disappear after being clicked by the editor, of course. So I'm gonna show you even how it looks. It's basically this, and you have no reference to the past objects, so you really want to have it disabled. And what we have next, follow points. I already said that it's pretty useful, so keep it enabled. And stacking, if you don't have stacking enabled, PShiFat will whoop your ass, and you don't want that. You want to have stacks enabled, because that's how it rolls in game. If you don't want your map to stack, change it in advanced settings. Stack leniency, rarely stack, or always stack, whatever you choose. And if you do not wish to have any stacking at all, it can be done while changing the .osu file in your song folder, right? So blah 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 blah. That's probably it. Have stacking enabled. I can actually show you what does it mean, how it looks like. So we have this nice little blanket on the first object. Probably I have to move it here. Can even increase the bitmap divisor so it looks even better. And we have the, well, okay, this is going to be first object. We make a nice little blanket on that first object, and it's a very nice blanket, very fine. Map goes on, and it's all roses and gold, right? So yeah, this is how it looks. This is how it looks in game and in your editor. But from the point of view of somebody else who have stacking disabled, well, it might look not so bad, but you see it already shifted. So if he, let's say, have it like that, then you will have it like this. And this is not a perfect stack. This is a very poorly made stack actually. So you see where the problem is. You don't see the stacks in the editor, but they are there, and in more complex maps using a lot more stacking, then it's very problematic. So make sure you have stacking enabled, and that's all actually. I mean, there is one option you can change, and that's ignore all bitmap skin. If you want to set your combo colors and want to see how they look in game, make sure you have all bitmap skins not ignored, right? So it looks like this now, because I have set combo colors for this map. It's right here, like, yeah. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. The next video we're gonna talk about, I'm gonna expand my little webcam to the original size. In the next video we're gonna talk actually about finally pillars of a good bitmap. It's about time. I'm gonna make a video about rhythmical accuracy and aesthetics. I don't know if in the same in the same day, but I will make it eventually. Maybe a day apart. Like, I don't want to spoil you, of course, with my fabulous videos. So maybe you will need to wait a bit for it, maybe not. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something from it. If you didn't, then you're probably a bit better than just a beginner mapper, and feel free to skip to the next videos. I mean, you already watched that, but maybe you didn't. Maybe you just skipped to the end just to hear what I say. So I know the next videos will be a bit more complex and philosophical. And bye.